Just 3 months after the best of ERA took to the road course at Road Atlanta, the next step takes the future of stock car racing back to its very roots. We're overhead the virtual Darlington Raceway in Darlington, South Carolina. We welcome you to coverage of the eRacing Association and tonight's fun run event from the track Too Tough to Tame. Very happy to have you join us as we mix the new with the vintage, where alongside Matt Castle of ERA, my name is Kenneth Bueno. We'll have our producer Ryan Bauer with all of the shots you'll see tonight, and of course he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Matt, obviously ERA has been around for a while. You know it better than anyone else. And tonight's little race is going to be a lot of fun. We got a bunch of drivers in this race. We've got this track, Darlington Raceway, which is going to prove to be a challenge. But it's a fun night for these guys out on track, for us in the booth, and for ERA as a whole.
And Kenneth, you couldn't have said it better. The stage is set, and tonight is different than the normal ERA member events that we put on. Usually we're giving away big cash prizes, Kenneth, but the racers are going to have to wait until September, which is just a day away, where we're going to announce the next Omega Cup, the $5,000 purse. We're still going to do another one in December, which we'll talk about through the race, but tonight is a night for a bragging right moment. We are sponsoring a NASCAR in the Xfinity Series here at ERA that's going to be on track this weekend at Darlington Motor Speedway. And Kyle Weatherman is going to be piloting that car. We've got Kyle to jump in tonight and run with our members. And so it's a chance for bragging rights. And then, of course, Kyle drives for owner Jesse Iwuji, who also is a driver. Just came off his best career finish at Daytona, P11 last weekend, and sometimes we've seen Jesse driving the ERA machine. So what we wanted to do tonight was just say, members, we appreciate you. We wanted to have some fun with you. And I mean, how cool is it that you can belong to an iRacing league and have a chance to go race against real drivers that are doing what we're doing in a virtual setting, right? Where they can hop on the track and you have a chance to see if you can do what the guys do in real life here virtually. So I'm excited for Kyle and Jesse to race. And then, of course, the big prize tonight is the top 10 in the field. We're going to stick your name on the deck lid of the car, the ERA car that actually is on the track at Darlington. And a surprise for the field tonight, we're going to give away a pair of pit passes where you can come hang out in the pits, not just a guest that walks up and down the aisles. But the cool thing about having an iRacing league and a real NASCAR team is we can hang out in the virtual world, and then we can invite you to come hang out with us in the real world as well. So we're excited. We have an ERA car in the field in the Xfinity race. So Kenneth, I'll turn it back to you to kind of talk about the track and the contest tonight and what these folks have to worry about.
Lots of excitement, though, like you said, Matt, for ERA and tonight's little race, because sometimes it's nice to have the large stakes, the large cash prizes, but it's also fun to go ahead and go to the very roots of racing itself, go for the bragging rights, say, hey, I beat you here, especially with this combo that we're going to have tonight, because it is going to be very tough and very challenging. Very obviously familiar of a track like Darlington, which is known to test the drivers in the real world, and we'll get to the details of that in just a little bit. But for these guys, it is going to be a lot of fun to see how they can wheel their race cars around, like you said, Matt, for the prize, having their names on a NASCAR Xfinity Series car this weekend, and we'll also get into the details of that in just a little bit. Qualifying is coming to a close in just a couple of moments, so we will get you down to the starting grid, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be lining up here tonight from the virtual Darlington Raceway. And this track has been around for a while. I mentioned mixing the new with the vintage for a reason. This Darlington Raceway has been around since 1950. It's a 1.366 mile, 2.198 intermediate oval, not necessarily the 1.5 mile cookie cutters you're used to seeing on the NASCAR calendar, nor a prime short track. It is directly in the middle, the sweet spot, 25 degrees of banking in 1 and 2, more of the wider radius corners, and then 23 degrees over in 3 and 4. Tightest part of the course, you're going to have to hop on the brakes, especially over the long run. You got 2 to 3 degrees on the main straightaways, and the lack of space. We're also going to talk about that as well. The dashed lines on the bottom of the racetrack going to provide for some nice door-to-door action, especially in the middle of the corners. Well, it's our time to take a look at who's starting where in tonight's ERA fun run from Darlington Raceway, and it all starts with eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series star Garrett Maines in the 31. He sets the fastest time of all in qualifying tonight. He will be the first to see the green. You will have Cody Harris, who is outside in the 1 machine. He will start in the outside of that first row. Michael Sturgill in the 3. He starts in that 3rd position. He'll have real-life racing driver Jesse Iwuji inside the top 4 to his outside. Gary Cronenwet in the 88. He will start inside top 5. He will have Blake Lothian in the 59 to his outside. That is, of course, the end of your 3rd row. Sid Waters, Kyle Weatherman, 7th and 8th on the racetrack. Kyle Weatherman, of course, going to be racing the real-life Darlington Raceway later on this weekend, but he's going to take the sim tonight, try to go for the checkered flag. Louis Vega and Kyle Wisner, the 9th and 10th cars on the racetrack to the green flag. Daniel Lipinski is 11th. Paul Donnelly will be over in P12. Chris Noblet will be 13th. It'll be 14th for the driver of the 13, David Johnson. And then to your top 15, Jake Balmain and Christopher Lake, the 16th and final driver out of this grid. So, Matt, of course, I will invite you back into the conversation. We've got all the drivers lined up on the grid. I think first and foremost, what are you expecting for these guys here at a hot track temp Darlington Raceway and putting this event ERA together for the checkered flag at the end of it all?
And I'm expecting some chaos. And of course, one thing I know in the ERA, all our members are all of different skill sets, different iRacing ratings. So we don't have any kind of prerequisite. It just says, hey, if you're a member, you can come race with us. So I'm expecting things to kind of take a few laps to sort themselves out, maybe a little chaos as we get started here in the field. But I'm expecting to see some of this talent extra hungry tonight, knowing they're on the track with real NASCAR drivers. Nothing like telling your friends tomorrow or texting right now, hey, tune in, I'm about to go live on this Facebook or this social channel and race a real life driver, and I'm going to beat them. So good luck to the field. And Kenneth, man, I'm excited to get this thing underway for sure. Bragging right race, your name on a real NASCAR. The top 10 are going to have their names on Kyle Weatherman's car this weekend that is sponsored by the eRacing Association. So good to be here again and excited to see how this shakes out.
16 cars in the field, 14 if you're not including Jesse Iwuji, the driver that's going to be behind the wheel of that number 34 this weekend, Kyle Weatherman. So those spots are open. There are going to be drivers that unfortunately won't have their names on the racetrack or on the racetrack with the race car. As you look at the number 2 machine, that is, of course, Kyle Weatherman's machine. Actually, no, that's Jesse Iwuji. Kyle Weatherman rocking the ERA colors a couple of rows behind him. But, of course, EPM, the sponsor on that number 2, his Chevrolet Camaro. There's a look at Kyle Weatherman. He's going to be driving in real life later on this weekend, so a lot of excitement for him as well. We'll see how he does once we take the green flag. This track temp very hot into the triple digits, 109, as we are set to take the green flag. From Darlington, it'll be Garrett Maines and Cody A. Harris, the 31 and the 1, 2 bow tie Camaros into the restart zone. But of course, most importantly to Barney the flagman, green flag is in the air, and we're racing from Darlington in the eRacing Association League in tonight's fun run.
Here we go. Here we go. You know, Kyle's first run earlier this season, he finished P12 at Darlington. So we're excited to have him back in the car this weekend. Excited to see how he does. You know, the sim is so realistic. Another thing I like to point out is Jesse, who's there driving on the screen. You know, he's a naval officer in our nation's military. A cool thing he told me is when he was at the Naval Academy to learn how to operate a warship, he put him in a simulation room and it simulated real life. And so as he was sitting out on deployment, wondering what he was going to do after a tour of active duty and you know, 7 years active duty, he was wondering what's next. And his passion for cars started to turn up. But he knew he had to find a way to test and get better. And of course, he found himself into a simulator, just like in the military. And he started figuring out how to put laps in at his house right here on this very game, iRacing. And it's just pretty cool to know you can go from sitting at your house, driving a simulator and playing this amazing game. It's so realistic. And then here you can maybe end up like Jesse and go do it in real life, or like Kyle. So looks like we're off to a good start. I'm amazed how clean we're running.
A solid start. Most of the field already single file. We looked at Garrett Maines. Actually, one car is around in the back straight away. I believe that is Sid Waters in the 81. Indeed, he goes for a spin. Luckily, the field breaks away in enough time to avoid significant damage. And after only 3 laps of competition, caution is out for the very first time. Matt, I know I've been a victim to commentators' jinx many, many times, and I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. But still, nonetheless, the field very clean in the opening start. Everybody's single file. It was a lot of fun to see these guys out on track. There's Garrett Maines at the very bottom of the racetrack. This is how Sid Waters went around to begin with. Turn 2, a very treacherous part of this Darlington Raceway. Oftentimes, you see a lot of guys overstretch that part of the track and they end up hitting the outside wall, or they get loose, try to get the car back righted, and then like this next-gen car has shown many drivers in real life and in the sim, it is very hard to save. So unfortunately, that was the case for Waters. It is not going to be enough to signify a race over, though. He'll just drop all the way back to 14th, almost dead last in this field, and he will pick back up with the field as we've got our first caution here on lap number 4. So Matt, I'll turn back to you and to talk about that relationship between the sim and real life. I think over the past couple of years, it's grown a lot stronger, and you guys at ERA, you, Jesse Wuji, Kyle Weatherman, all of those guys are part of this eRacing association. It's been around for a little while now. You guys know better than basically anyone how important that relationship is and bringing the real world with the sim and vice versa. So walk us through that relationship and how awesome it is to be a part of a growing iRacing scene and, of course, real-life NASCAR.
Yeah. Well, again, Kenneth, I'll tell you, just when you watch, and if you've ever had a chance to sit in a simulator yourself, and I know most of the folks probably watching tonight have done that, and potentially people watching the replay tomorrow might say, what is this game? You know, it's really, to get on a real racetrack today, to go rent a track, to go pay for tires, to go, you know, get a staff out to test, it's really expensive, really hard. So a lot of people are priced out of racing. The thing I love about iRacing and the simulation factor of it is these games have gotten better and better over time. And it's so realistic now that, I mean, I think you've heard stories of the great William Byron racing at the highest levels of NASCAR in his time in the sim. I know we've seen drivers like, you know, Anthony Alfredo that we race against on the weekends, every weekend in the Xfinity Series. And it was cool. Our very first race back at December 2020, we put on our first event. We gave away $10,000. There were no plans. Jesse and I really didn't know where this was going to take off to. We just knew it was in the middle of a pandemic, and he had been spending so much time on the simulator trying to make sure he stayed in a seat. And he kept getting better and better and better. And again, to be able to see that just like anything else, with practice, you can get better. And this is a great way to hone your skills and get yourself a shot to go get in a test in a real car. And some people can make a serious living now. I mean, we've given away close to 50 grand in cash prizes. And, you know, if you were to come in and win every event like Garrett Maines does almost every time, you know, you can make a decent little living on this sim as well. And then, not to change courses of racing games, but who would have ever thought you could win a gold medal playing a video game these days? And of course, we know there's a racing game where you can do that as well. So just cool to see how these games evolve and how simulation gets better and more realistic. And just like in the military, they train for real life confrontation and battle, and we can do the same thing here with a virtual car. So back to you, Kenneth. We're getting started.
It's definitely been amazing to watch the relationship between iRacing and the eRacing Association League. And you are right, Matt. We are ready to get the green flag, a restart here. Lap number 7 of 40. It's Cody A. Harris at the command of the field. He's got Michael Sturgill to his outside at row number 1, but he's not going to take long to clear himself back to turn 1. It's also funny to see Jesse Wuji and Kyle Weatherman now running 3rd and 4th. They've kind of been the dynamic duo ever since the drop of the green, following each other, picking their way through the field. And as you ride on board with Weatherman, you can tell just how loose these next-gen cars are, specifically out of turn 2. Wobbled the car just a bit, kept it straight, and he's going to try to hone in on the rear end of the 2. Hopefully they can try to get closer to the front of the field. Top 2 have broken away just a bit, and they may also play some defense here in just a little bit to one other than 31. Garrett Maines has already worked his way up to the top 5. He started on pole, but let the whole field by in the opening laps, and now he's ready to take it all back, working his way through the field. Roughly a 3 to 4 car group here as the top 2 have run away. And I like this interesting scenario here, Matt, because you've got an eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series talent in Garrett Maines, like I said, in competition at the Omega Cup every single time you guys host those events, and then real-life drivers, Jesse Wuji, Kyle Weatherman going at it with each other.
Yeah, we love Garrett. It's so good to see him in the race tonight. I love that he's a member. He's so good. He spends so much time on his simulator, and he is so good at this game. It's good what he does to represent the teams he gets to drive for and all the brands that he gets to represent. Look at him wheeling this thing right now, man. It's so exciting. Go, Garrett, go! Oh, wait. Go, Jesse. Go, Kyle. I don't know who I'm cheering for here, man. These are all our members. It's so good to see. But how cool. Again, if I were trying to get in and do anything in life, I'd want to follow people who are doing the thing I want to do, meaning, you know, if your goal is to be a real race car driver, what do real race car drivers do? Well, they spend a lot of time on the sim. If your goal is to be a professional sim driver. We'll look at Garrett Maines. I mean, this guy makes a living and does an incredibly good job doing it just like this. And of course, at eRA, we have all these people. These are our members out here racing tonight. So hopefully in the chat, somebody's going to drop a link where if you're curious, how do I become part of this group? How do I get in these fun runs? How do I get my name possibly on a race car? How do I get the chance to compete for the big money? Man, we'd invite you to come be a member of the eRacing Association, man. It's super cool. We got big things in store for next year. And really, again, it looks like, what are we, under a caution here? I missed something. I'm getting so excited about eRA, I forget to tell you what's happening on the racetrack, Kenneth.
There was a caution out on the back straightaway, so same trouble spot for Sid Waters. He got into David Johnson in the 13, and both of them went for a ride on the back straightaway entering turn 3. We'll try to see exactly how it all began. Again, Waters involved in that first caution. It was a single car spin out of turn 2, and turn 2 again becoming the trouble spot for many. You look at the little mistake there in turn 1 by Johnson. That's what brought them closer together. And then arising out of turn 2, Waters tries to go for the move. They made some slight contact, and then sideways went Johnson, and into the inside wall both of them went again. Much like the first incident to bring out our first yellow, doesn't look like it's going to be enough damage to warrant the race being over. He's still got a shot at being on Kyle Weatherman's race car this weekend into the top 10. But of course, that's not necessarily the sign you want to have and being involved in a caution here. Again, track position, very important at a track like Darlington. It's very hard to make passes. So if you end up in a crash and you get put near the rear of the field, even though it's only a 16, 15 car field, you're still looking at a lot of work ahead of you, even if you want to get into the top 10. So our second caution out, and Matt, I think the good thing about it is that it gives us more time to talk about eRA. And you mentioned the membership, and I think that's a very big important part about the relationship between sim and real life, is that you guys have a growing membership each and every week. There's a look at Kyle Weatherman's race car that he's going to be racing this week here at Darlington. A very beautiful red, white, and blue eRA car, but the membership very large and important in eRA, and having drivers come from all walks of life, all walks of skill sets to be able to compete in these events, have a lot of fun, and of course win those prizes.
Kenneth, you said it. I mean, you know, Jesse doesn't come from the world of NASCAR, and Kyle's grown up racing his entire life. And both of these guys took different paths to get to where they're at today on the racetrack. And this is true for most people you'll find in the world of racing, right? There's not one way that's a one-size-fits-all. It's nice to see, like I said, another way to make it in, which is through the world of this simulation. And even if you don't ever make it onto a real track, this certainly is going to help your car control, help you when you take your own car to open track days. And even if you don't do any of that, it's a heck of a lot of fun to just be able to do from the comfort of your own home, or out at one of these many esport venues, you know, that are popping up all over the country that you can go in. Like I just saw on the Monday Night Fun Run that I saw the Monday League. They had some live broadcasting from an esport venue, which was super cool. You know, like I said, the big thing is just being able to have access and exposure to people who know what they're doing. So in our league, again, you got real drivers that do this for a living, and you got guys that virtually do this for a living as well. In the top iRacing series. So we would encourage you, if you're looking for a place of any skill set, come learn more about the eRA.
And you're watching two sim drivers at the very front of the field. Will bring us back to green this time. Second restart. They'll enter the restart zone. Lap 14 will be underway out of 40, and it'll be Cody A. Harris once again at the helm of the field. We'll get started very quickly. We'll clear back to turn 1, and it's a fight now for second into the first corner. Garrett Maines making quick work of Michael Sturgill. Had a wobble there into 1 and 2, and now here comes Kyle Weatherman. Door wide open for Weatherman to make the spot, and he will do so. So Weatherman into the top 3 for the first time tonight. And then watch the battle that's going around and won the mid-pack, especially near the top 10. The guys like Gary Cronin win the 88, Kyle Wisner in the 42, started pretty far deep in tonight's field. Louis Vega in the 14, Blake Lothian in the 59, and all of them trying to chase Jesse Iwuji in the 2 back to turn 1.
And how cool, Kenneth, too, to see Blake Lothian, again, another member, and see him out here racing tonight. Glad he got in on the challenge. And I know he's been on the track in a truck this season. So, Blake, good to see you, my friend. Welcome. And you're putting on a show, man. I like watching this.
He's making some solid moves right now and almost trying to make the pass complete officially on Jesse Iwuji. Just did not have enough momentum. You look on board here just behind that number 42 of Kyle Wisner. That is with Blake Lothian. He is hounding on the rear bumper there. and just cannot quite make the move, so he'll stay single file. It's one thing about this Darlington Raceway is that you have to have a lot of patience, and most of the time your passes on other drivers in the field happens on the exit of the corner. It doesn't necessarily go in the middle of the corner. Most oftentimes you'll see at other tracks across the calendar, in the middle of the corner usually is where you can make a lot of ground up and where you can elevate your skill to get around the other driver in front of you and make the pass complete. But here at Darlington, because these corners are so small, wide when it comes down, well, it's not necessarily wide whatsoever. You got that little strip of asphalt from the top of the wall all the way to that dashed line, and then you get to the apron where you're going to lose a lot of time if you go down there just because of the lack of space. It's just so hard to make passes, and you have to set up for the exit rather than set up for the entrance or even the apex. There's a challenge for the race lead that's already been checked off by Garrett Maines in the 31, so he clears Cody A. Harris, and Maines going to look to walk away from the field in this race. Not necessarily too long. We're almost closing in on halfway. That'll be lap 20 of 40 here from Darlington, South Carolina. And you're watching, of course, Matt, a driver that you've seen multiple times on end, Garrett Maines, compete over and over again for wins with other eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series talent, and they may be a part of the events that you mentioned just a little bit at the top of our show in September. You care to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, Kenneth, our next big event. So at the eRacing Association, we feel that the iRacing game is the best race video game on the planet. And of course, we know everybody has their favorite piece of hardware, you know, your cockpit, your steering wheels, your pedal shifters, your setup at your house. We've seen all these folks send in their pictures of their home setup. So it's beautiful to see what you got set up at the house. And we basically are calling out the best sim racers on the planet to come be a member here at the ERA and compete for big cash and big prizes like we talked about. So here in September, we're about to announce the next track. And what's cool about our events, Kenneth, is we run just a fixed setup. So you don't have to wonder, does somebody have a different tweak that you don't have? I mean, all these cars are set up the exact same. The field gets the cars all at the same time. So the setup is introduced to everyone all at the same time. So no one gets any extra time to practice on the car or the setup, or nobody has a special setup that you don't know about. Like I said, we welcome our membership to any skill level. Again, you know that you've heard the Coke drivers for the Coke iRacing Series are here, and we've got real race car drivers that are here, and we've got beginners that just want to get challenged and want to follow along and see the line people are running and understand how to get better. And of course, our members are open to chat with each other in private groups and all that fun stuff. And of course, our NASCAR drivers like Jesse and Kyle love talking to people. Their social channels are always open, and it's cool at the track when they see ERA members that are out at the real racetrack and to be able to talk and vibe and talk about how iRacing can help them prepare for the real thing. So anyway, back to all that next month. Here, actually tomorrow, we're going to be in September, and we'll have a new $5,000 cash prize. So these aren't IOUs, these aren't coupons. And how do you become a member? Well, if you go to eragaming.gg, and probably before the broadcast's over, we'll pop the website up where you can go check out the link on how to become a member and what that all entails, what it includes. There's an annual subscription, which is basically $40. I just get the cat out of the bag. It's $40 for a year to be a member of the ERA, or you can pay monthly, and that's $5 a month. Well, what do you get for that? So every other week we do a fun run like you see right here. And when ERA sponsors a NASCAR, we take the top 10 in the field and we put your name on a real NASCAR. All right. We also do things like the Chili Bowl type event or a Snowball Derby type event where, again, we throw these once a quarter big money race tournaments. And the way it works is you get put in a kind of a bracket system and you qualify, you run a qualifying race. And if you're in the top, you know, however many is in the event, you know, we'll take maybe the top 10 from each heat, or sometimes only the top 5 in qualifying. But then we set the field, and of course the field, the cool thing is ever since we've started, iRacing has been such a great partner. I mean, tonight you are watching this on all the iRacing social channels, and so all our big money events are also live on the iRacing social channels. They've been a great partner helping us help people have their names called on a bigger platform. And this is great if you're in iRacing, where you can find companies that maybe want to put their logo on your iRacing race car. Look at that right there. There's a company logo on this guy's car. And if we have a tournament that has lots of viewers, for you as a gamer, this is a chance for you to work on small sponsorship packages, right? Because brands like to be in front of eyeballs. So not only can you compete for cash and prizes in these tournaments, not only can you do these fun runs and have a chance to get your name on real race cars, not only can you get tips and have encouragement from real drivers that really do this, but it's a great community. And we're about, now that COVID is kind of moving away from us, we're getting ready to add live meetup experiences. And so we'll have a lot more coming as the year unfolds about next year, 2023, our live meetups and our virtual gaming centers that are coming. Lots of exciting stuff, but you definitely want to become a member so you can get in these fun runs and do all the stuff we're doing and compete for these big cash prizes that you'll be able to do here in September.
Community was the word that struck me first, and I think you described it perfectly. The community that's been built with eRA and having the live meetups, like you're saying, that's probably going to happen at the NASCAR venues where Jesse and Kyle get to interact with a lot of the eRA members when they visit the racetrack every handful of weekends in the NASCAR Cup Series or even the Xfinity Series or Truck Series, depending on the weekend where they're at. In real life, you're watching a battle developing around the top 5, and just a couple laps ago, you saw a fantastic move 3 wide through the middle made by Jesse Iwuji. There was a mistake. One of the drivers in front of Iwuji, and he made the move 3 wide, just found the space in the middle with Sturgill that got into the outside wall. And Michael Sturgill looks like he might have entered pit lane. He is now 1 lap down, and he has used one of his 2 faster pairs. That's something that we have forgotten to mention here in this eRA Fun 1 race. You have 2 opportunities to get a fresh new race car rolling off with the sim truck. So if you get any sort of damage, you can come down pit road, check off the faster pair, and get a clean race car. That's exactly what this man of Michael Sturgill just did right here. So it's going to cost him a lap, around 13 laps to go. Track position going to be very hard to come by here. He's got another car that he's fighting for 1 lap down as well. That is the 81 of Sid Waters, both of them 14th and 15th on the racetrack right now. They are definitely looking for a caution to come out before this is all said and done, and Waters is in front of some company battling for lead lap position. Look at the 88 of Gary Cronenwet, who started this race in the top 5, and then right behind him, a driver who started fairly far in tonight's field, P9 at the green flag for Luis Vega and his Ford Mustang, and attack the outside wall in 3 and 4, but he is closing in on that 88, so we may see something develop with them sooner than later. You also saw a pass develop for second. Blake Lothian found a way around Cody Harris. Harris had hit the outside wall in the middle of 3 and 4, so it basically just said, here's the open opportunity, and Lothian took it out of turn 4, and he is now trying to chase down against Garrett Maines. And you made a really good point there, Matt, about sponsorship and having small sponsorship, getting a lot of eyeballs, getting a lot of viewers on the sponsorship, and the relationship with the driver out on track. And then you also have these drivers right here, like Garrett Maines, having larger sponsorships like Celsius. It's just beautiful to see the relationship there between sponsor and driver and how it can be elevated in the sim racing world and with eRA.
You know, I'll tell you, part of learning how to race is not just being a good race car driver in the car. You need to obviously figure out how to have funding to, you know, put yourself in a seat and, you know, prove to people that have real cars that you can really do this stuff. A lot of times that comes with starting with tests or, you know, working your way up through one of the lower level series that is still incredibly expensive to run. So learning how to attract sponsors and help to figure out how to get an ROI for a sponsor. This game, this league, this stage is a perfect place to learn how to do that. Again, brands want to be where there's eyeballs. And again, if you're on a channel like iRacing or with a big following, or if you look at our tournaments, man, we have a lot of viewership. And so this is a great platform to go out in your local community and represent brands that are in your local community. You're the star from your town racing against anyone in the world that comes and competes and that wants to put their name in the hat. And like I said, a great place to learn not only how to drive a car, how to get car control, but how to start getting sponsors, because you're going to need them if you're going to make it in the real world of racing. I promise you that.
It's definitely true, and it's awesome to see the development there. Drivers, sim racers, and real-life drivers alike with sponsorship and how they can make things happen with eRA. And sim racing, you watch the top 3 fly by your screen around the front straightaway. That is Garrett Maines, of course, still leading this race by almost about 2 seconds, 1.7 seconds, and closing slightly here between himself and Blake Lothian, the 31 and the 59. Look to run away with this race as we close into the final 6 laps in this Darlington event. It looks like Cody Harris will lock up the top 3. Kyle Weatherman has held this place in P4. So is Jesse Iwuji in 5th. So both of them are looking to hold their position strongly. Luis Vega, though, is in a challenge with Gary Cronenwet, but that has since calmed down. There are some lap cars in the midst of it all, just trying to puncture their way into the battle, make things a little more interesting here at a track that has only become more tough to drive. The track temp has cooled down, but only by 3 degrees. So it's like comparing apples to apples. You're not necessarily finding a large difference between the two. It is still scorching here in the Darlington sun, and these drivers are still fighting as the tires wear, and there are basically no tire changes. We haven't seen many drivers on pit road. Most of the stops have come from damage repair, have come from the drivers involved in cautions. You don't necessarily see your front runners go in for tires, and that is the difference of fresh rubber versus worn rubber right there. The lap car, Michael Sturgill, had pitted a while back, so he storms by the 2 of Jesse Iwuji, and he will look to unlap himself. Same deal for the 13 of David Johnson, although Johnson is 2 laps down, and a strike to the outside wall Iwuji will do in turn 1, so that'll lose him some more time, and possibly, Matt, we may see a battle for 5th on the racetrack. Luis Vega may start to catch up and put some pressure on the real-life driver.
Hey, that'd be amazing. And a couple big shout-outs, man. I see Wisner. Where was Wisner? I see Kyle Wisner's name in there, man. Kyle Wisner. Here's a guy who in real life is working on a NASCAR team. He is traveling the circuit week in and week out. How cool that he took some time away to get in the game tonight. We love having him as a member. I think I saw Sturgill. Man, one of our champions from one of our past Omega Cups. I remember Mike Sturgill took the podium. I forget if it was the Summer Bowl of last year or what race it was, but good to see him out here battling. And I see a couple other familiar names. So we love the members. Like I said, this event tonight, these fun runs that we do are a place to create a community where you guys can come together with common goals. Hey, how do I get better? How do we have better competition? How can we challenge ourselves to be the best sim racers we can be? And like I said, you're going to see us be able to start introducing meetups. Meetups are where we want to talk to you. Any kind of question you have about how to do anything in racing, such as find sponsorship, brand yourself, get more seat time, test with different teams, all kinds of different things. But what's really cool, again, Jesse was smart enough to know that in this iRacing, this esports, this race team I'm putting together in real life, none of this stuff is really only just for me. I want to figure out how to inspire other people, man. If I can go from driving warships to driving race cars, anybody could figure out how to do this with enough time and dedication and, of course, enough great partners. I'd be remiss without getting off this broadcast tonight without thanking Equity Prime Mortgage. I mean, they have been with us since the minute we launched this eRacing Association. And not only did they start sponsoring us virtually here, but they started then to sponsor our real NASCAR team as well. So I'll get back to more of the sponsors here in a second. Kenneth, we got ourselves a winner, man. So I'll turn it back to you to talk about what we just witnessed here. Garrett, congratulations.
Half a lap away from the checkered flag, and it looks to be all Garrett Maines is opening it up to 4.5 seconds on second place. Blake Lothian, and after falling back through the field and taking back the lead, Garrett Maines has not looked back. At a turn 4, it'll be all Garrett Maines to the checkered flag. He wins the ERA Fun Run from Darlington tonight. There is Blake Lothian, who will come home second. Cody Harris falls into the top 3, and here's a nice run to the finish for position number 5. Jesse Iwuji, Luis Vega out of turn 4. Vega will not win the battle, though. Iwuji will hold off. Will play some solid defense, and with Iwuji and Weatherman holding up 4th and 5th, that means that Michael Sturgill in the 3 will have the last spot into the theoretical top 10 to have their names on a real-life race car this weekend. So exciting, Matt, and it's going to be exciting seeing Garrett Maines burn it down here from Darlington.
Yeah, Garrett, man, do your thing, buddy. Congratulations. What a run. Way to get up front and stay up front. So fun having you in this league. And I know you are a professional when it comes to your craft here on the sim. It's so good to see you do those donuts. What a great run tonight. So proud of you, man.
So Garrett Maines will burn it down. He will continue his celebration, and of course we'll get into all of the other details heading into the future for ERA and what's in store next. We've got the drivers locked in top 10 that'll have their names on a real-life race car, but of course more to come here on iRacing as we will continue our coverage of the eRacing Association League and tonight's fun run at Darlington. Don't go anywhere.
finding someone to race with, someone to compete with, or flat out, someone just to give the Gap sauce, well, you should check out the Gap'em app.
Gap'em is the only app that will allow you to race people locally, share videos, and attend events.
And after you race, you can actually take your racing video and post it in the Gap'em posting section so the whole world can see. And even if you're not a racer, you can always head to our Gap'em app crew mode section where you and some friends can continue to meet up, go to car meets, go to car events, car shows, anything that has nothing to do with going to the racetrack.
Gap'em is a one-stop shop for the car world.
Looks like I just got a match on the Gap'em app. Time to serve someone some Gapple-beans.
Ready, set, Gap'em.
What a tremendous experience. I got to visit with the team.
Sophie said she had an absolute blast.
We're watching everything. You can smell the burnt tires.
If you're a race fan, I go, it does not compare to being anywhere else.
This is my first time at a NASCAR race. I'm here with team number 34. I've never been so close to the pits. The action is absolutely wild.
It was a great day to race like a kid again. There's nothing better than coming out here, having a first-class experience with Jesse Abuchi Motorsports.
It's like you're part of the team. You're involved. You're seeing what's going on. You're seeing all the numbers. You're smelling all the rubber. You're right with the racers. You are right in the pit, and it's incredible. I've never been a big NASCAR fan, but after this, I'll definitely be back.
Incredible experience. Nothing compares to being up close and personal with the pit crews and the race team.
The hairs on my arm stood up when I got over there that close. It was incredible.
From the grandstands, you're just watching it from a fan's point of view. When you're in the pit area, you're having more of a feeling of being with the crew.
The guys, they're so quick. It was fun just seeing it up close in action. You see it on TV, but it's nothing like it is seeing it in real life.
Beyond words how that team comes together so quick. Everybody puts their input in and gets that car back out on the road in literally seconds.
Quite the experience to be that close to the race, watching this, the stats on the board, and just meeting all the great people on this team.
What an amazing day. What an amazing race. What an amazing crew.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Welcome back to our coverage of the eRacing Association League and tonight's fun run from the virtual Darlington Raceway. It was all Garrett Maines in the last half of the event. He wins tonight's fun run after starting on pole but letting the whole field by in the opening laps. Blake Lothian was able to surge from 6th to 2nd at the end of it all. Cody Harris, who had led a good amount of tonight's race, he ends up in the last spot in tonight's podium. It'll be Kyle Weatherman and Jesse Iwuji 4th and 5th on the racetrack. We saw them working together sort of side by side, frankly, the entire race, and that's where they end in succession. Luis Vega in the 14 ends up P6 tonight after starting in 9th. It'll be Gary Cronenwet in the 88 who finishes in P7. It'll be 8th for the 9 of Daniel Lipinski. Paul Donnelly in the 34 finishes in P9, and rounding out your top 10 will be the 12 of Chris Noblet. Jake Balmain started in 15th. He is the first car on one lap down, but he moves his way up to 11th after this race is over. Michael Sturgill will be in P12. Sid Waters will be 13th. It'll be 14th for the 13 of David Johnson. Kyle Wisner will be in 15th, and unfortunately Christopher Lake, he had signed up but did not make the green flag, so he ends up the last driver in our 16 car field. And Matt, just before we get to our winner interview with one Garrett Maines in the 31 car, I believe you have some good news about all the drivers that signed up looking to have their name on a race car this weekend.
And I'll tell you what, I couldn't sit here and just be amazed and entertained by the members that got the email yesterday. We just promoted internally to the members, hey, we're going to do this fun run. And of course, we know the hundreds of members didn't all see this clearly. Some members are going to be very upset. Holy cow, I just could have shown up and you would have been in this heat, right? We could have filled the entire field. But we had 16 competitors, and 14 of those we're not racing in a real NASCAR this weekend. So we're going to go ahead and instead of putting 10 names on the deck lid, I'm going to put all 14 names of the competitors tonight on the deck lid. So thank you to the members. Garrett, huge congratulations to you, and Blake, way to be on his tail. But everybody who raced tonight, minus Kyle and minus Jesse, we're going to put your name on the deck lid of our real Darlington race car. So thank you for being a member. Hopefully you had a fun run tonight. And listen, if you're a member and you didn't know about this, you got to check your emails. Again, we do these fun runs every other week. And every time ERA sponsors a real NASCAR that either Jesse Awuji or Kyle Weatherman drives in the Xfinity Series, when that happens, we put the top 10 member names in that week's fun run race on the deck lid of the car. And how cool to be able to get Kyle and Jesse both to show up and say, hey, look, we'll come, we'll race, we'll get out there and bump and rub and do our thing. And again, it looks like they got beat tonight on the track. Again, I know we're with Garrett Main, so I'll turn it out to you, Kenneth, to talk to Garrett, and we'll talk to Blake. And again, thank you to all the members. Omega Cup, the Fall Bowl, $5,000 is on the line here in the month of September. Again, that's another event we put on for our members. And before the night's over, we'll drop a link, or maybe down in the chat, you've already seen the link over at eragaming.gg/membership, I think is the official link. So, Kenneth, back to you, man. Great run, everybody.
Of course, a lot to look forward to for that event later on in September, and I'm sure we're going to see this name back in action in the sim when we kick off that Omega Cup for the fall. And it is Garrett Mains who takes over the latter half of tonight's fun run from Darlington, and he is your winner at the checkered flag. Garrett, of course, walk us through. You got pole in qualifying. You kind of let the whole field by. You ran back through it. How was the experience tonight?
I had a blast. I actually didn't know it was broadcasted until I think it was lap 15. It was after I opted to not pit for the race. And then Blake had me regretting that about 8 laps into the run. He was coming for me. And it was fun having to, I was having to back up to him a little bit to not toast my tires, but I thought he was going to just get to me and blow my doors off. But I think once he got within arrow range, he got that right front a little too hot, and I was able to hold him off.
Toasty is probably the perfect word, Garrett, to describe this track temp. It was 109 when we started, 101 now, still in sim, right post-race after the checkered flag. And you had the experience to be in the Coke Series race last night. That one went into the nightfall, probably the coolest conditions in sim you can get at this Darlington track. So how interesting was it to go from cooler track temps and still somewhat fighting the car to having to wheel this Chevy Camaro at a track temp here in sim tonight?
I honestly, that was part of why, when I dropped back, I wasn't really too concerned, because it was going to be so easy to overheat your tires, and I kind of figured people were going to take off, and if it went green, they were going to pay. I didn't realize how much I had worn, because the track was very green. It didn't seem to have a lot of rubber on it, especially when we first got in. It was covered in dirt, so definitely was a bit of a rude awakening there for a few laps when Blake was chasing me down, but overall, I feel like I learned a lot from last night, which was don't save so much that you're stuck behind people when it matters. And that was the story of last night. It was a 18-car pack that you could not pass even when you were faster. So thankfully that didn't happen to me tonight, and Blake was able to put the pressure on me there at the end and make it fun.
Lessons learned, and it ends up in a W here tonight at Darlington in this ERA fun run. And in the Omega Cup Fall Bowl, I know that's going to be announced tomorrow. More details on that later, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be part of the event. We've seen you multiple times in many ERA competitions alongside many other Coke Series talents. So excitement level, high, low, in the medium range? What are you feeling about it?
I always enjoy running the races. I currently have a love-hate relationship with the car, but hopefully I'll have it figured out by then and feel a little bit more comfortable with it, and we'll get to have some fun. But I got to give a shout out to Celsius, ChevyLiners.com, leaf filter, gutter protection, Lennox, MCU Body, Colleague Racing, and Elliott Sadler Esports for all of their support this season.
There's a lot of support and a huge win here tonight. Matt, I'll throw it to you. Any words for our winner tonight?
I just wanted to tell Garrett, man, just thank you. We love having you as a member. You're such a good ambassador for the sim and for iRacing, for all the cool things that happen. And it's been amazing to watch your development. I obviously have seen you do your thing on the track. I know just not too long ago you were kicking butt in the summer shootout. And of course, you haven't stopped clawing your way and fighting every day. So again, proud of you. It's amazing to see the wheelman you've become. And hopefully Jesse and Kyle and I get to see you at a track soon. I know we've seen you out at those activations at the NASCAR track, and I know you certainly spend a ton of time on this sim. So Garrett, man, we just appreciate you being a member, and how cool that folks can become a member and race against people like you. Even if I could just get in the sim and follow your line, I'd probably be better than if I got in the sim and didn't have somebody like you whose line I could follow. So again, thanks for showing up and racing in these events, and what a show you put on tonight, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, and thank you guys for putting it together. Definitely might have some exciting news coming here, maybe this week, maybe next, but hopefully we'll be back in the car here very soon. So.
Oh, hey, again, if anything that we're doing with, these cash prizes, if an extra 5 G's can go to help, paying for a set of tires or something, man, go get you that money next month at the Omega Cup, all right? I'd love to know we had a little something, but not a lot. But just a little bit of contribution, to the tire bill or something at the real life racetrack. So can't wait to hear the news, and, we're big fans of yours. So, again, great stuff. Congrats on your win tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yep.
So huge congratulations to Garrett Maines. He walks away with the checkered flag here from Darlington, South Carolina. And of course, we probably will be able to see him over at the Omega Cup later on this fall. Now we will send it to the driver who finishes in second tonight. That is, of course, the 59 of Blake Lothian. Blake, you started in P6, so you had a good look at the midfield, which got a little bit hectic at times here at some portions of this race. But you did a nice job moving up to the field. What was the experience like behind the wheel?
Thank you. I mean, it was a lot of fun out there. I mean, got to practice lots of passing out there today. That was for sure. I mean, really feisty midfield, so a lot of fun. Got to play the tire strategy. Was able to get up towards the front by the end of it and threaten Garrett for a little bit of it, but hit the wall a little bit and overheat the right front. So sad we didn't have anything for Garrett at the end of the race, but definitely a really fun midfield today.
Still a very strong run if you end up second, and we're looking at the replay right here, our prod feed, and we can see the pass that you methodically made here at Darlington on Cody Harris that, of course, sealed you the deal for second out on the racetrack. And I asked Garrett about the toasty conditions here in Sim, 100 degrees over at the start of the race, still over 100 degrees at the end of it with this car that doesn't have too much downforce. So what kind of patience level did you have to have behind the wheel to make sure that you can hold on to your own and make sure the car doesn't slip out too far and that the tires don't wear out either in a race that you guys didn't pit at all?
Oh, I mean, there was so much patience you had to have, especially off of turn 2. I mean, in practice, I hit the inside wall at least 3-4 times. I mean, of course, then you're pushing a little bit harder to try to find the limit. Of course, in Sim, you can just hold the reset button and get a free new car. But I mean, especially for the race, you had to really preserve the right front, pushing too hard on exit on both sides of the track. So you had to preserve your tires quite a lot throughout the entire run. Then for me, luckily, I was able to take tires. I think around lap 20, took tires, and I was able to push really hard towards the end of the race. I was able to get by Cody. I was able to get up to P2, and then I pushed a little bit too hard, sadly, and was not able to get up to Garrett.
Well, nonetheless, P2 is P2, and that still puts you eligible for having your name on a race car this weekend at Darlington. You'll be on Kyle Weatherman's number 34 Jesse Iwuji Motorsports car when they get the green flag at Darlington this weekend. So how do you feel about that, finishing second and having that prize and having your name on a race car as well?
That is really cool to me. I mean, I run part-time Capable Truck Series. I mean, that still is really, really, really cool to me to have my name on the deck of a NASCAR Xfinity Series car. And I mean, Kyle Weatherman, so that is really, really cool.
Definitely awesome.
Blake, man,
it's
Matt.
A lot of fun. Oh, go ahead.
Hey, Blake, it's Matt. No. I was just going to step up and just tell you, man, I know Jesse and I are incredibly proud of you. I know you've been turning lots of laps on the sim, and it was great to see you jump in a truck a couple times this year. How do you explain to folks how well this simulator, how well this game helps you prepare to really kind of be able to go from virtual to reality? I just want you to touch on that for a second, because again, you're making your way, you're breaking in, you're getting some starts, and that's exciting. And so we're excited for you. Talk to me about how realistic you think this sim is and how it helps you prepare for the race.
Of course, first off, thank you so much for all the kind words. And then second off, I mean, all the tracks are laser scans. I mean, every single bump in the racetrack, I mean, you feel through the wheel of your sim. So I mean, the practice, for instance, the braking markers that are extremely crucial in a truck, especially at IRP, where I was running decent until the drivetrain sadly blew up. But we were running pretty good there. Had a really good feel of the truck, especially towards the middle of the race. But I mean, the sim, it honestly feels like as close to real life as anything you could really get, from my opinion.
And of course, I mean, I know these setups you can get for your house can be quite elaborate. Again, I've seen pictures of all our members' setups. But at the end of the day, a simple chair and a steering wheel and a pedal shifter, I mean, you can start anywhere. When I met Jesse Awuji and I saw the setup that he was teaching himself on at his house, I was blown away and amazed. And really, again, my point is, it doesn't take the greatest to get started, right? You just have to start to have a chance to become great. And Blake, excited for you to know that, and there is a way that doesn't require you renting out a racetrack, paying for all the tires, shipping your crew somewhere. And then, of course, if these things get wrecked, you got to pay to fix them in real life. So to know you can get a lot of laps by having a subscription to this game, and you can join a community like we have that brings in good talent from all skill sets, and have a chance to make some money and network and have great friends. And then not only that, but to know you can be seen at the real racetrack. Again, networking makes the world go round. So we love our members. Again, I can't wait to tell you about these meetups we're going to be doing. That's part of the perk of not only having an esport league and a real race car, and of course, a bunch of great members. So Blake, congrats again. Glad to hear that you're finding value in the sim, and we can see it, because nothing is more exciting than see you going from virtual to reality, my friend. So keep charging. And again, know we're all proud of you. Good finish tonight at second.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right, Kenneth, back to you, buddy.
So that's Blake Lothian at 59. Awesome to see him finishing in second. And of course, he will have a name on Kyle Weatherman's number 34 this weekend. So we definitely won't be the last time that we see him in ERA competition overall. And over the course of the next week or so, we will bring in the driver who finishes in P3 tonight and let some of the restarts here from Darlington in this fun run. That is the one of Cody Harris. Cody, I have to ask you, was there any pressure that you felt at the front of the field? You commanded the field, cleared, and led some laps. How did that feel?
That felt really good. I knew Garrett was going to be really quick. I was looking at the times at the end. He still had a couple tenths on me about no matter what point in the race. And then Blake ended up coming there at the end, and then he burned his tire, and I almost got him back for second. I probably needed 3 more laps or so to get back around him. But yeah, it was a lot of fun racing.
Definitely
Cody,
a lot
man,
of fun watching you out on the racetrack. And 40 laps, not necessarily a long race by any stretch of the imagination, but not short enough where it's a full-on sprint. So how do you manage that as a driver, having to kind of balance the short run pace with still having to maintain long run? Like you said, Blake had kind of burned up his tires a little bit. You almost got to him near the end. Walk us through that and the balance that you have to maintain as a driver here at Darlington in a 40-lap race, to say, hey, I've got some short run pace, let me use it, and then go, hey, I also got to take care of my tires, make sure I don't burn them off before it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely I got my right front definitely too hot at one point in the midsection when I was kind of out front. It's kind of hard to know how quick or what people are saving or what. So I was trying to pace by gauging behind, and I pulled too much of a gap for sure. And then, yeah, I saw Blake coming. He ended up getting around me, and then I just kind of settled back in and started backing up my corners a little bit to cool the right front, get the car back under me, and then started putting together some more consistent laps. And then, but by that point, everyone was too far ahead of me. But I definitely learned a lot, and it was definitely different too with the track being so hot. I had practiced a lot at night with kind of where it's been running in the official racing and another league that I run. So the hot track temp definitely threw another wrench into it.
Hey, Cody, man, it's Matt. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you.
Awesome. Well, hey, I have never called your name before, so I just wanted to feel good saying Cody A. Harris. What a heck of a run tonight, man. P3. You beat out 2 real-life NASCAR drivers. How cool is that? Have you ever done something like that before? You might do this every week, I'm not sure, but when was the last time you beat some real NASCAR drivers in a race?
It's been a while. I mean, sometimes you run into them in the official lobbies, but being able to do something like this, that broadcast, is definitely a whole lot cooler.
Yeah, well, I hope all the people in the world of racing that pay attention to iRacing's channels, and of course the people that watch ours, know your name and get you on their radar. Because again, you just beat 2 people that are doing this on the track in real life. It's been cool to see people like Blake and Parker Resloff, I know, made his start in the Xfinity Series this year. Anyway, it's just really cool to see your performance tonight. I see you're in the great state of Ohio. Do you currently live there, or is that where you're from?
Both actually. I'm from Zanesville, and then I just recently moved up to Marysville, Ohio, and I work at the Transportation Research Center, and I do some car testing, how the automatic brake system, ADAS systems on cars, and I graduated from Ohio State a little over a year ago.
Well, H, baby, I don't know if you saw my screen, but I got a whole bunch of Ohio State stuff all over the place. I'm from Columbus myself. We won't get into that story right now on the screen, but what I was going to tell you is I don't know if you're feeling a little frisky, but I said at the beginning of the race I was going to pick somebody and give out a pair of VIP pit passes, not just to get into the pits, but to be our guest at the race in Darlington this week. I don't know if that works with your current schedule, but I want to extend the invitation to you first to say here on the air, if you and a guest want to figure out how to get yourself down to Darlington and you want to be in the pits with Kyle, with Jesse at the race this weekend, where your name is going to be on the race car, we'd love to invite you as our guest. So you don't have to answer me right this second, but if you can get back to us in the chat at ERA or on our social channel and let us know if you want to take us up on that pair of pit passes, we'd love to give those to you. If you can't use them because, again, you got plans or Darlington's just not someplace you can get to, maybe we can either A, give you a rain check for a race that's a little closer to you, but those will probably be next year when we're back up by that Ohio. Well, maybe Martinsville is a little close to you, I'm thinking, that we still are going to hit. But Martinsville, your name's not going to be on the deck lid, right? So, again, think about it tonight. But if you want to join us in Darlington, man, congrats. You won these 2 VIP pit passes as a member of ERA. That's our way, again, of just picking somebody random that's a member and saying, thank you for being a member, man. We want you to come hang out in real life with us at the track. And if you make it this weekend, you'll see your name on a real race car.
All right, I'll definitely take a look at my schedule and give it a thought.
Oh, man. All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. I'll let you wrap us up. Ryan, fantastic job on the broadcast. As always, we love having you behind the scenes. You make these events look so realistic, so fantastic. And I know you're behind the scenes at every ERA event that we do. So from all of us, from Jesse and Sean and Tim and Kevin and the entire ownership group of the eRacing Association, thank you for bringing these virtual events to life and giving us a place to help people that are ordinary racers feel like a pro, have their name called on big live broadcasts. Thank you to iRacing for giving us your channel tonight and this beautiful game you've created. Of course, all the hardware companies that help everybody have what they need to be powered on. And of course, all the brands that sponsor our racing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys. Good night.
It's been an unbelievable night here from Darlington. I feel like 40 laps was a little bit too short, Matt. Don't you agree? Because we could have gone on for longer. We would have had a great race nonetheless. But it was a lot of fun and nice to see Garrett Maines take over the win here tonight. But of course, not only his name, but all the names apart from Owuji and Weatherman going to be on the race car. Well, Weatherman will be on the race car, so will Owuji technically. So they'll both be on it. But as for the people who are not owners or drivers of the race car, they'll be on it on the deck lid. And for Cody, hopefully he can make it out to Darlington with whoever he invites that other pit pass to. It'd be awesome to see them head over to South Carolina and visit for some fantastic racing in real life. I think Darlington, one of my bucket list tracks for sure. So for them, if they can knock that off, that'd be definitely awesome. But Matt, I'm going to turn to you one last time before we wrap things up here for this ERA Fun One from Darlington. How excited are we for September, that Omega Cup in the fall?
Yeah, man, I would just tell everybody stay tuned on our social channels. If you're already a member, you already get our emails. But we're going to be announcing here location, the track for the Fall Bowl. Again, we'll have another $5,000 cash on the line for the podium. Of course, $4,000 goes to the winner. And we're still going to do another one of those events before the year's up again in December. So we have 2 more events this year at the Omega Cup. We're going to be playing iRacing, and those tracks have yet to be announced. Again, from all of us at eRA, thank you to our members. Thank you to the Fun Run tonight. Congrats to the 14 we'll put on the deck lid at Real Life Darlington. And congrats to Garrett tonight on winning this race. Kyle and Jesse, thanks for your time as well. Thank you for representing eRA so fantastic, both in the virtual world and the real world. And with that, we'll tell you good night. Appreciate everyone again. So long. We'll see you at the next one.
So of course, if you enjoyed tonight's action from Darlington and the ERA Association and you want to become a member, you can definitely do so at eragaming.gg, and there's a large button that says become an ERA member. You can click that and of course get all the info and be a part of these events. Hopefully you can be a part of that Omega Cup later on this fall and all the other events hosting here in 2022 and beyond. So for everybody involved at the eRacing Association, for our producer this evening, Ryan Bauer, for our camera builder, Dougie Beard, and for my colleague in the booth tonight from Darlington, Matt Casto, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying thank you all so much for watching our coverage of the eRacing Association League Fun Run from Darlington, and a huge congrats to Garrett Maines on winning this 40-lap race. We'll see you next time.
finding someone to race with, someone to compete with, or flat out, someone just to give the Gap sauce, well, you should check out the Gapum app.
Gapum is the only app that will allow you to race people locally, share videos, and attend events.
And after you race, you can actually take your racing video and post it in the Gapum Postum section so the whole world can see. And even if you're not a racer, you can always head to our Gapum app crew mode section where you and some friends can continue to meet up, go to car meets, go to car events, car shows, anything that has nothing to do with going to the racetrack.
Gapum is a one-stop shop for the car world.
Looks like I just got a match on the Gapum app. Time to serve someone some Gapple beans.
Ready, set, Gapum.
What a tremendous experience. I got to visit with the team.
Sophie said she had an absolute blast.
We're watching everything. You can smell the burnt tires.
If you're a race fan, I go, it does not compare to being anywhere else.
This is my first time at a NASCAR race. I'm here with team number 34. I've never been so close to the pits. The action is absolutely wild.
It was a great day to race like a kid again. There's nothing better than coming out here, having a first-class experience with Jesse Abuchi Motorsports.
It's like you're part of the team. You're involved. You're seeing what's going on. You're seeing all the numbers. You're smelling all the rubber. You're right with the racers. You are right in the pit, and it's incredible. I've never been a big NASCAR fan, but after this, I'll definitely be back.
Incredible experience. Nothing compares to being up close and personal with the pit crews and the race team.
The hairs on my arm stood up when I got over there that close. It was incredible.
From the grandstands, you're just watching it from a fan's point of view. When you're in the pit area, you're having more of a feeling of being with the crew.
The guys, they're so quick. It was fun just seeing it up close in action. You see it on TV, but it's nothing like it is seeing it in real life.
Beyond words how that team comes together so quick. Everybody puts their input in and gets that car back out on the road in literally seconds.
Quite the experience to be that close to the race, watching this, the stats on the board, and just meeting all the great people on this team.
What an amazing day. What an amazing race. What an amazing crew.
It's incredible. It's incredible.